Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 111 of the Not Joanna Eggs podcast. This week, Robin and myself discuss The Road to El Dorado, one of the most overwhelmingly bisexual movies I've ever seen. And if you are a gay, questioning, lesbian, whatever millennial and who has seen this movie, you know what I'm talking about. It originally came out in the year 2000 and was directed by Eric Bebo Bergeron and Don Paul. The legend, the memes, all of it. Great movie. Apparently flopped. We'll talk about that. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this one, and thank you so much for listening. Take care. Bye. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Not Joanna Eggs podcast. I'm Tracy.
And I'm Robin.
And today we are discussing probably one of the, I don't want to say it's like lesser known because it certainly doesn't feel like it is, but I know that it didn't do that well when it came out.
No.
We're discussing The Road to El Dorado, which is a Dreamworks film that came out in the year 2000. I'm just checking on the director here. Oh yeah, the composer was Hans Zimmer and John Powell. Mm-hmm. And I think they both went on to work with Dreamworks for quite a few things. Like John Powell is best known for doing a lot of the How to Train Your Dragon soundtracks. So it was directed by Don Paul and Bebo Bergeron. I believe that the name of the director was used for the little armadillo character that's in this film.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. And so the whole thing behind this movie is that it's supposed to be like kind of an animated homage to the Road to movies that happened back in like the 1940s that had Bing Crosby and Bob Hope in them. Like they were like these weird kind of comedy farcical films. But they just decided to make it into an animated film involving El Dorado. Everybody I've ever talked to loves this film, even though apparently it did really badly. Well, not really badly, but badly considering the circumstances.
No, well, it didn't meet its budget in box office, so that's definitely considered a flop.
Yeah, it was off by a little under $20 million, so it was produced for a budget of $95 million and then grossed back $76 million, which is like not great. I mean, I don't know if this if there was any other major competition for it at the time, but I don't know. I'm not sure if maybe they just didn't know how to market it properly. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. I would love to know why it bombed, because again, like, I don't know anyone who hates this movie, right?
Yeah.
Everyone I know is like, oh yeah, I love that movie.
I love seeing, especially now, like we were discussing this before we started recording, but this movie has kind of become more of a meme, or like lots of reaction images happen to use the two main characters, Miguel and Tulio, just because like there are some aspects of it that are very like quotable, or it might just be nostalgic because most of the people that were growing up when they saw that are now like adults going like fucking like you know, TikTok and Twitter and stuff, responding to things.
Yeah, well, there's definitely some elements of it that are, like, very easily usable in circumstances. Like, the one I see a lot, or that we used to do a lot, is, can't do it, stars.
And also, like, both is good. Yes, both.
Oh, yeah,
like
always.
That one.
The both is good is just top tier.
I'm also just kind of surprised in general that we haven't done this one before, because it does kind of have some of our sense of humor.
Oh, absolutely.
But it just never came up.
Yeah, so I think to me, like, I was a little borderline hesitant because I look at it and I go, oh, well, this is a pretty popular movie. Everybody knows Road to El Dorado. But apparently it fucking bombed, so maybe not.
But, like, you still see it comes up on Netflix. Like, we just watched it on Hulu is where it's streaming right now, along with, I think, most of the Dreamworks films. But, like, yeah, I mean, it was the only Dreamworks movie that did not turn a profit. It was the only one that came in under budget, which is pretty tragic, because like I just think that this is a very fun movie. Some of the stakes probably aren't as like big as something like, say, like The Lion King or Coco or whatever.
Well, that's actually part of the point. So in terms of development, they originally started working on thinking about it in 94, and then it kind of eventually got put on hold. And while it was on hold, they made Prince of Egypt. After that, they were like, okay, we want to do something a little more sort of chill, basically.
Yeah.
Because they were originally planning it for it to be a little more dramatic, and also, this I didn't know, but it makes a lot of sense, It was originally going to be rated PG-13, and so that explains a lot about this movie if you think about it.
Yeah, because a lot of that stuff they didn't cut out. They're just like, who cares? They're just kids. They won't know. The parents will be in on the joke.
Yeah, so they basically dropped it down to PG at least, so they could not exclude the younger audience. They cut back probably on the romance. But also they just made it a much more relaxed sort of comedy than it was originally intended.
Well, yeah, I mean, and especially jumping from a project like The Prince of Egypt, which is just this huge biblical, like literally biblical epic, and then going to like a notably much smaller story is like, it's totally understandable. Like, guys, take a break. It's fine. But so let's start getting into the actual plot of the movie itself. Just because it's pretty straightforward. Like, if you've heard of the story of El Dorado, it's supposed to be this hidden city of gold somewhere in Central America. And it starts off with our two main characters named Miguel and Tulio. Tulio is voiced by Kevin Kline, and Miguel is voiced by Sir Kenneth Branagh, because I guess he was knighted or something. And Miguel is supposed to be the more kind of just carefree, and I almost called him like a puppy. Like, he has this very strange amount of fascination and curiosity about everything. Tulio is supposed to be the schemer, but he's very anxious, and he's constantly just like, he's always seems like he's on his last nerve or something.
Mm-hmm.
So they're two con artists that live in Spain in 1519. They had been gambling with some other sailors that were around this port area in Spain. They're gambling with loaded dice, but the person that they're gambling against offers to trade them a map that's supposed to be for El Dorado in addition for their cash. So it's like, if he wins, he gets everything, and then if they win, they get the map and the rest of the cash.
Right, exactly. So they end up getting the map, and then this is sort of the point as they're grabbing their winnings that everyone else realizes they're con artists because the dice fall out of his vest and roll on to 7. So this is where we start to really see them as con men, especially because they start fighting, pretending to fight really, and then they get chased around town by a bull and end up, unfortunately, on the ship of Hernan Cortez.
Yes, the conquistador. Even though the original conquistador that went to go look for El Dorado is Pizarro, but that's okay. We'll let it go.
Yeah,
Jim Cummings is here. It's great to see him. It's fine.
We're glad to have him along. Basically, then, they eventually are discovered on the ship, and because Cortez, you will be flogged. And when we stop at Cuba Tree Supply, by God, you'll be flogged again.
Then sold to the sugarcane plantations.
Yes.
And Miguel's just like, all right, Cuba.
Yeah, right. Like, such a good moment of, like, those two. Tulio, oh God, we're done. Miguel, Cuba, yeah!
Finally, a vacation.
Right. So they then escape the ship.
With Cortez's horse, Altivo, who lets them out.
Yeah.
By he found keys instead of a pry bar.
God, one of my
Tulio's
favorites.
He's such a little punk sometimes.
Oh, but he's kind of bratty. It's really funny.
He is. Like, both Miguel and Tulio have, they seem like they're an old married couple, but they're gay. And,
Oh my God. Well, the one that hit me again, or like really like just bonked me over the head with it yesterday, watching it again, is, so when they're on the boat and they think they're gonna die, they're sitting there like, do you have any regrets? And then they have this exchange, which is, I'm really glad you were in my life because you made it more interesting and adventurous, and I'm really glad you were in my life because you made it more rich. And I'm like, man, that's I don't know.
Boys, I don't know how to tell you this, but if you see a seagull that gets eaten by the shark from Jaws, you can't be that far from land. Like, just try to keep going if you can. I don't know. Yeah. Or eat the horse. I don't know. I was kind of surprised that didn't happen before, because like horses float, right? Allegedly.
I have no idea.
Make the horse start carrying the boat. But anyway, I did really like that. The visual gag with the Jaws shark made me laugh so hard. I was like, that's amazing.
It killed me. It's so good.
But then, of course, they make it to land.
Yeah. And then they follow the map and eventually find their way to El Dorado, where they're welcomed as gods.
Because there's this gigantic stone monument pillar that shows, basically they confuse Miguel and Tulio on top of Altivo to be gods. as Chell
Right.
is trying to run away from El Dorado after stealing something, and then lo and behold, like, they visually look exactly like what's on the mural.
So this, again, sort of spirals into them being con artists. So they pretend to be gods for a while, and they're like, well, we're gonna just take all the gold they give us, and then we're gonna leave. And one of my favorite exchanges is they ask the chief, hey, can you build us a boat? Because we're gonna take this gold, and we're gonna take your tributes, and we're gonna go somewhere else, because we got shit to do in the spirit realm. Can you build us a boat? And he's like, yeah, I think we could do it in a week. And they're like, that's kind of long. Well, I think I can do it in 3 days.
Well, I mean, you guys are the gods, so 3 days. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Well, my favorite, again, the best part of that exchange is they're like, 3 days seems kind of long. Well, maybe if you didn't have so much crap, 3 days is perfect. You know what? I can hang out for 3 days. That's cool.
Yeah, like, if you weren't taking so much gold, it probably wouldn't be an issue. It'd just be like, that sounds like a you problem, chief.
So, my roommate and I joked that basically this is what happens when a bard and a rogue with nothing but bluff skills go on an adventure.
I mean, yes. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, it's not just, like, they're, like, how they're always trying to, like, outsmart certain stuff, because, like, they're really not that intelligent, honestly.
No, they're not exceptionally crafty.
But the people of El Dorado are so welcoming, and they want to believe that they are their gods that they've been looking for, because it's supposed to be this time called the Age of the Jaguar. There's a huge contrast between the chief of the village, Chief Tanabak, and I believe he's the high priest. His name is Tzekel-kan, who is a terrifying-looking man.
Oh, he's awful.
He's very interesting in that, like, his whole thing is human sacrifices. Like, he's really into human sacrifices. But both the voice actors for them are great. Like, and Chief Tanabak is, like, very cute and cuddly looking. And Tzekel-kan is just all, like, upper body strain.
Yeah, well, and they do a good job. Is if you look at Tzekel-kan, his teeth are much more specifically animated.
Yeah.
As opposed to everyone else is just kind of, like, very basic, like, here's a line of teeth.
Because it makes him look more lifelike, so he looks more threatening.
Yeah, it's much more threatening to individually see, oh, I can see the canines on this guy versus no one else has those.
And also his weird headpiece that looks to be made out of an actual old skull.
I mean, honestly, I respect it.
I mean, you know, like, you're using all parts. It's fine.
Yeah.
That's just recycling. And then, of course, there is Chell, who is, like, I don't think it's possible to not have a crush on her. Like, I don't care who you are. Like, Chell's great. She's awesome. She's very feisty. She's smart. I mean, I heard some people say that there's kind of, like, a weird exoticism thing going on with her and, like, characters like Esmeralda.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, which, yeah, I know. It's not great. But it's just, like, she can hold her own on a lot of things, and she is there to basically be an in-between to, like, tell them what all the rituals are, what high holidays are, how they can pass better, how they can cheat at a particular sport. You know, because she's like, gods don't lose. Like, you have to learn how to do this. But she is also very wily in terms of using her sexuality to seduce Tulio. But, I mean, it's not like he was really, like, holding off that much.
Yeah, there's definitely some sort of weird, like, colonialist implications and things like this in this movie, but also it's just a fun time.
Yeah, I mean, I try to not, like, get too into it. Like, I get that there is, some of that stuff is kind of there. Just in general, like, the characters are so well balanced with each other, like, they work off of each other really well, that it just makes it a really entertaining watch. Like, it's just such a fun movie. Like, I put this on whenever I'm sad, or, like, I periodically will get into segments of just being like, I want to watch something really colorful and very weird. So I'll watch this or Emperor's New Groove, because they came out at roughly the same time, I think. Maybe that was part of what impacted the release for them. Yeah, like, I don't know what it is about this movie having such strong bisexual energy, because, like, obviously Chell is into Tulio, and Miguel is just excited to be there. But I don't know, because they're both attracted to her, but she clearly pursues Tulio. She can gauge that Miguel is more interested in El Dorado as a city and as a society.
Well, not just that. I think the fact is, like, when he's told, hey, you need to not do this, Miguel's like, okay, I won't.
Yeah, and then Tulio is just like, well, I can do this.
Yeah. Well, and also, like, I think she's of the mindset of, like, well, I don't care. Like, Miguel wants to go off and do his own thing, so I'm going to distract Tulio so he can do that. she's probably actually attracted to both of them because, again, that's just the vibe I get.
Everyone in this movie is really attractive, kind of.
It's true.
Well, they're appealing. We'll say that.
Yeah, no, hey, everyone's attractive.
I wouldn't say that Tzekel-kan is that attractive, but I mean, like, he obviously benches a lot, which I guess is cool. He probably drinks a lot of blood, though.
Well, I can't remember. One of them, my favorite artists, just made the joke like everyone in this movie fucks. They do.
Oh my god,
it's
so
the
much.
basic tenant.
Like, honestly, I'm sort of glad that I'm not a parent that had taken my kid to see this back in the day, because I'd just be like, I don't know, this is it's pretty overt, even for like being ostensibly a kids movie, because like we see Altivo the horse gets drunk, they are hung over at one point. They have to go to a religious ceremony where they're supposed to be doing sacrifices in tribute to Xibalba, the spirit world, but they're clearly hungover. Like there's some weird kind of merciless jokes in this.
Well, the one that's always so that gets a lot of attention, because if you look at it, it's pretty obvious, is there's
I know what you're gonna talk about.
Yeah, it's obvious. The scene where Tullio and Chell are doing something and they suddenly hear people coming, and so they both get up, and if you look, it's very obvious that her face is nowhere near his face, and you're like, oh,
he was absolutely getting a blowjob off screen.
Yeah, I did not catch that as a kid, but as an adult, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's what's happening right there.
Yeah, it's one of those GIFs that, like, I remember it going around. It went around Tumblr for a while, it went around Twitter for a while, and everyone's like, she was nowhere near his face.
Yes.
I was like, God damn, I can't believe that they got away with doing that, because this came out in 2000. It wasn't that, like, long ago, but I don't know. Like, someone had to animate that, and apparently there is another scene of them making out on some kind of couch that was cut out. Like, it was a deleted scene that was never put into the movie itself.
Yeah.
I can send you the GIF for that later, and I'll probably, I don't know, I might link it in the show notes or something, because I don't necessarily want it on my Twitter feed, because it's pretty saucy for yours truly. Or at least I don't want to be, anyway.
Yeah.
It's weird. And there's something about how Tullio and Miguel both talk with a deeper register to seem more authoritative, like gods. It's very dorky and little kiddish.
Yeah, it's such a fun dynamic between the two of them, and once we get Chell sort of in there, it creates an even more interesting dynamic, because... So there's this joke that Tullio makes, like, hey, Miguel, you know how some people have that little voice in their head that tells them to quit when they're ahead? You don't have it. So, like, I think that's what makes Chell really fun and interesting in this triad, is that Tullio is that voice for Miguel, but Chell, unfortunately for Tullio, can very easily distract him, and so then Miguel can just run off and do shit.
Which he does. I mean, he does get to go explore most of El Dorado. He tries to get to know the people of the city better. Like, it's very wholesome. Like, he's just going around, like, fishing and seeing them and playing ball with the kids and letting them pet Altivo. Like, it's cute. But I think that one of my favorite parts of this, like, especially when there's a scene a little bit later into it where there is a ball game, which is basically just, it's kind of like basketball, but with inverted hoops on walls. It's a very ancient Mayan game from my understanding. I love all the gesture work that they have when they're both trying to figure out how they can cheat and, like, go in between both sides of the playing field. Because, and I guess this isn't a thing that normally happens, but both Kevin Kline and Kenneth Branagh were in the same room when they were recording their audio, so they could play off of each other visually. And the only other time that I think that had happened recently in or like at that time in an animated film was Jonathan Freed and Gilbert Gottfried, who played Jafar and Iago respectively. So then if there's any particular gesture work that they're getting involved in there, then they can animate it.
Yeah, it's a good thing to point out that's not traditionally the way it's done.
Yeah.
But I think we've seen some, especially more recently, I feel like there's been some instances of that where you get the cast together and they actually kind of record together.
It's more common in, I think, TV shows. Like, some TV shows will do that.
I'm sure. But I think we're also seeing it, I mean, I definitely know there's a few animated features where I've seen that that's the case.
Oh, yeah.
I think it lends something because you can get the chemistry in a more realistic way. Let's wrap up the plot and then we can kind of we've been meandering, but let's... So,
No, it's okay.
Essentially what happens is after Miguel explores the city, they have sort of a confrontation with Tzekel-kan after they play ball, and then Tzekel-kan realizes the jig is up as far as he's concerned.
He sees a cut above Miguel's eye. I think he gets hit by something when they're getting the final point in the ball game.
Yeah, in the final scoring, they realize that the armadillo they've been using to cheat isn't there, and Tulio accidentally elbows Miguel in the face.
Yeah, but then also Miguel, he pulls off this amazing Pele-esque kick into the goal, which is pretty gratifying. It's a good look.
It's pretty cool. So Tzekel-kan knows they're up to something, and eventually he casts a spell to animate a giant stone jaguar.
Yeah, can we just address the fact that he is way too used to cutting the middle of his hand? Like, I was like, ugh, I don't want to see that. Like, he just, like it's nothing. He cuts his palm so that he can put some kind of blood tribute onto one of these statues so that he can embody this gigantic jaguar that's inside one of the temples.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool. Like, he becomes an animorph, essentially. And I felt like if this was a different time frame, that he and Dr. Facilier from The Princess and the Frog would probably get along pretty well.
Oh, they would get along too well.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I love the whole chase scene. It's really, really cool.
It's super cool. Well, and then we get, again, like, the callback to earlier when they're pretending to fight each other, and they use that as an opportunity to ambush Tzekel-kan.
They call back to the con from the original thing when they're fighting about gambling. It was a nice payoff. I was glad that they did
really
that.
Good. That's, as far as we understand, the end of Tzekel-kan, or as far as the characters understand. And then we find out that Tzekel-kan has been found by Cortez, who's going to lead them to the City of Gold, and so they're trying to figure out how they can save the city from Cortez and Tzekel-kan, which ends up being destroying the entrance, which is hurtful to both Miguel and Tulio. Miguel, because he had chosen to stay in El Dorado. Tulio, because of all that gold that he lost in using his ship to crash the pillars.
They're just cutting them off entirely from anyone else ever finding it, too. So it's just, and now Chell can never go back. So, I mean, granted, she wanted to go with them anyway, but...
Yeah, she wanted to leave, so that's fine.
But it's pretty extreme, you know? And, thank God their aim was good, because they managed to get all of the pillars down.
Yeah, so... And that was it was just overall such a cool moment.
It seemed like they used a lot of these same water effects, or like the water effects that they had been developing for the Prince of Egypt. It seemed like they really started to put them into place here as well, because there's much smaller things, like when they're originally shipwrecked, when they get off of Cortez's ship, and then once they're riding their boat with all the tribute on it throughout the caverns, and then they just keep losing gold everywhere, and they're just like, they both come to terms with doing it for the greater good and doing it for the benefit of El Dorado itself to make sure that they're not corrupted. So, which is good. I mean, that's character development.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then by the end of it, Tzekel-kan is taken as a prisoner by Cortez because he's like, oh, there's nothing here. Miguel, Tulio, and Chell ride off into the sunset together.
Pretty much.
On the back of Altivo. I am kind of bummed that they never made this into more of a series, because I guess they were thinking about doing it, but because the returns were so bad that it just didn't end up happening. Like, if it had been more popular, they would have made more sequels, and I feel like that could have been fun.
Yeah, I was actually just thinking that, watching it last night.
There's a lot of potential for them to do other stuff with this, too.
Yeah, well, and I probably because and again, I didn't realize how much of a flop this was, but I'm honest to God kind of shocked that they didn't get the random TV show treatment that so many other properties got. I mean, mostly in the 90s, but still. Fuck it. Even Jimmy Neutron.
Yeah, and that was the whole thing, is that Jimmy Neutron started off as a movie, and then they made it into a TV series, which I guess is it's kind of weird, because you always assume that it was the TV series, then the movie. No, they made it as an original movie thing. Yeah. And then it became a TV series.
Yeah. I do want to talk a little bit about apparently some of the ideas they had for casting that did not happen.
Oh, God. Yeah, so we came across this but when we were doing some research coming into doing the recording today, and I was like, I'm so glad they didn't go. With the majority of these would just be I feel like in terms of how this was cast, I think it was perfect, because any of these other decisions would just have been really incongruous. And I think that what they would have tried to do was that using slightly more star power given the time frame, but they would have seemed so poorly matched.
Oh yeah, well, so some of their considerations were Dennis Leary and Jim Carrey for Miguel. Not a fan.
Yeah, no, not a fan of that one. Antonio Banderas and Adam Sandler was considered for the role of Tulio, and I'm like, no. Like, could you imagine Adam Sandler being Tulio?
Vom. Immediate
No.
vom. I think Antonio Banderas could have been an interesting choice for Tulio.
They offered it to him, but he said no. But then later he came back to do Puss in Boots in the second Shrek movie, and then all the other subsequent Shrek movies. So I was just like, maybe they didn't offer him that much, or he had like a bias against animation. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? But I think he could have been good. Thinking of Puss in Boots, he probably could have been a good Tulio, but I think the Kevin Kline, Kenneth Branagh, I think that worked very well.
Yeah, I think they worked off each other. And then there was also the roles for Chell, Jasmine Guy and Tia Leone. Jasmine Guy, I don't know, because so she was the same voice actor that played Sawyer in Cats Don't Dance, and I'm just be like,
oh, okay, sure.
I don't. I mean, maybe, but I just think that Rosie Perez is so good as Chell.
Oh, Rosie Perez is a monster. She's so good at it. Tia Leone, awful idea.
She's got the amount of sass that you need for that. Tia Leone, no.
I like her,
not
but
for this.
I
just don't think she's suited for this part.
Yeah.
You know, it just feels like a miscast decision.
The one that terrifies me conceptually is they apparently considered both Martin Sheen and your boy Christopher Walken for the Chief, which is
I was like,
again,
fucking what?
terrifying.
No.
Can you imagine the Chief speaking like
Christopher Walken?
Christopher Walken.
Well, a boat like that for the gods could be done in 3 days.
I think that I could do it in 3 days. I could do it faster if you didn't have so much tribute. It would be so weird.
I mean, and it's like that you have like a veteran character actor like Edward James Olmos. I'm like, use him. Like you could do. I mean, like use Danny Trejo, use Tommy Chong. I don't know, somebody. Like put him to work.
You know what's also like? You know what? I mean, I would need to look at this, but it's nice that for the native characters, basically, you have Latin descended actors.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about Armando Santi, but I think so.
They actually did try. Except, I mean, you know, like, except for, you know, Miguel and Tulio, they're just 2 white dudes. Like,
yeah, which is fine because they're from Europe. They're European.
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, like, so they don't look like probably technically Spanish, but it's not to the point that like they are not being totally whitewashed, which I think it's an important distinction.
And then I guess they were thinking of Kelsey Grammer and James Garner for Tzekel-kan.
No.
Listen, Kelsey Grammer makes such a good villain, I think, or he could. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but Tzekel-kan isn't it.
Well, so here's the thing, is that, like, Kelsey Grammer, to me, will always be Frasier and Sideshow Bob, which is, like, he's got a good voice. It's, like, he's got a weirdly, like, I know he's not British, but he has that kind of, like, deep oomph in his voice that makes him seem like he could be British, but he's not. I just don't think that it's worth, like, doing it within this particular role. I don't think that it would work. And James Garner, I don't know that much about him. I guess he was in a couple of series. He was in Space Cowboys.
Yeah, he was a big name way back when.
Yeah. And Grant, I don't know that much about James Garner, but, like, I'm glad that they went with Armand Desant because he did great. Like, he was just as menacing as he needed to be. He had a great booming kind of register whenever he was trying to deliver lines to the rest of the people in El Dorado. Like, it worked, you know?
The other weird thought they had was for Cortez, which honestly it doesn't matter because he's in the film for all of 30 seconds, but
yeah, he's got maybe 20 seconds of screen time.
Yeah, he's not a lot. Goran Visnich or something. I don't know how to say that name.
He's a
I'm
Croatian
sorry.
actor.
Yeah, and Kevin Spacey.
Big time. Oof. I'm good. Don't get me wrong. I think Kevin Spacey did great when he was Hopper in A Bug's Life, but I just wouldn't put him in this particular film.
No. Well, again, I think, it's just kind of a weird choice, I think.
I mean, but that's the thing, is that, like, it just kind of goes to show how solid the cast itself is, because I wouldn't change out anyone that they have. Like, everyone did a great job. Like, and it seemed it was a reasonably fun movie to work on. It's just a shame that it didn't do that well.
I'm blown away by that because, you know, obviously we are like, oh yeah, this movie's amazing. I don't know why. I don't know why it didn't do better. I wonder why, if it was marketing or if it was just what it went up against or what. But
here, I'm gonna keep recording right now, but I want to look to see what other films came out at the same time. So let's see,
Sure.
movies released March 31st, 2000. I want to see what else was out at the box office at this time. If I can check. Oh my god, I'm on movie phone. Hello. Let's see. I'm on movie phone.
I caught that. I'm just confused by the concept, Tracy.
I'm just saying. Apparently, this is when it came out. Oh shit! Leprechaun in the Hood came out on the 28th of 2000.
Fuck no.
It looks like the only major competing film it would have been Digimon the movie, which came out on St. Patrick's Day of the year 2000. Also,
Rad.
Whatever It Takes, but that's not really a kids movie. It's like a weird teen rom-com. I'm not seeing anything major that really would have impacted it. I'm just guessing that it also could have been at that time, and this was just a thing, that people were just kind of getting tired of 2D hand-animated movies, which I think is stupid. But, I mean, it's cyclical because all the stuff that's coming out that's CGI is what's making all the money. I mean, it's the same thing with 3D. 3D movies tend to come back every, 20, 30 years, roughly? But, luckily, we're having kind of a return to it, or, the hybrid films like Klaus or shorts like Paperman are showing that, hey, this is possible. We should be doing this. And I'm hoping that we're kind of moving into that direction that has more hybrid style animated films, because they're really cool. I mean, you could see something like the Peanuts film that is technically CGI, but it has a lot of weird flat textured planes that makes it look like it's almost like 2D or a comic strip kind of style movie.
Yeah. Well, if you want to see that kind of stuff in another absolute level, there's an animator on Twitter. I think it's Worthy Kids. Hold on. That's Worthy Kids, but with an I.
So what's their handle? Is it at Worthy with an I Kids?
Yeah, literally that.
Okay, I'll have to look into that.
He's amazing. He does the Big Top Burger.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. And he's done some other animations, but a lot of them he does animations that absolutely look like a Rankin Bass feature, but it's actually a 3D model.
And we all know about your weakness for Rankin Bass animated things.
I am what I am.
You gotta type, and it's Rankin Bass. It's fine.
How dare you?
How dare you? But I mean, I guess that's most of what I've got for this. I would say see it, absolutely. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, if you for some reason haven't, do yourself a favor.
If you're a millennial and you're listening to this and you haven't seen Road to El Dorado, what is wrong with you?
What world do you live in?
I mean, you mean to tell me that you did not have a babysitter that put this on, or a friend that was just like, oh, we should watch this movie, it's really funny?
Yeah, I don't know. I just, again, can't relate.
Other than that, Robin, is there anything you're watching?
I've been rewatching Adventure Time recently and having a pretty good time with it. There's some things I had... I didn't realize how far I had gotten in it, because there's fucking 10 seasons of the damn thing.
Yeah, which is nuts, because they're all so short, too. They're all 11 minutes.
Yeah, but each season is, something ridiculous, 50-some episodes. Preposterous. But anywho, so I've been rewatching Adventure Time, and then I've been keeping up with Season 3 of Infinity Train, which I'm super pumped about. What about you, Tracy?
Yeah, this season of Infinity Train is pretty nuts, and we will have a review for that one out probably before this one, I guess. But yeah, if you haven't seen Infinity Train, you should check it out, because I want more seasons. It's really, really solid.
Yeah.
I started watching Brand New Animal. It's all right. I like it. I think the soundtrack is really cool.
Brand New Animal?
That anime series on Netflix about the raccoon girl that lives in the animal city.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I watched some of that, but I also recently rewatched Ingrid Goes West, which is a really good, if you like black comedies and Aubrey Plaza, you should absolutely check it out. It's on Hulu. She's basically a mentally unwell young woman who becomes obsessed with this influencer type person on Instagram, and then kind of starts emulating a lot of her stuff and wants to ingratiate herself into her life, but it's all about how none of it's really what it seems to be and everything. And it's Aubrey Plaza is fantastic in it, and it's a lot of fun. I saw it on Hulu, so you can check that out if you haven't seen it already. I love it. It's every single time I see it, it's like I see like new little things about it that I really like.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a good time. But yeah, other than that, where can they find you, Robin?
Oh, as always, you can find me on Twitter at lobster_writer, and you can find me on Instagram at lobsterwriter. I haven't been posting much because the school year has started, and so
It
I'm
happens.
not as active in ways I would like.
And also, like, since the situation for you over there has got to be so new, where like they're constantly having to adapt new stuff, just be like, so how often are you gonna like see people and everything? Like, that's got to be weird.
Oh yeah, it's super strange right now. So
it's got to be a shitty year to be a college freshman right now, or just a person.
Yeah, no,
honestly, shitty year to be a person right now. Sucks.
Tracy, where do they find you on the social medias?
Thank you,
on the
Robin.
internet.
Thank you, Robin. They can find me on Twitter and Instagram via @TCTroush. I've been putting up a fair amount more of project stuff recently. You actually happened to make me a cross-stitch kit, which I did finish.
Yeah.
And I liked making it.
It's super cute.
I appreciate you making it. It was very cute. I probably won't do it again because my hands were starting to cramp up like crazy. Like that, or I'd like to do it on like a bigger scale because the grid itself is so small. Like, and I know that they sell different kinds of material to use with it that like looks slightly bigger. But like,
so there's this is another conversation, but yeah, there's different materials basically.
I mean, well, we can mention like crafty stuff, I guess. You know, like we like you introduced me to cross stitch. You've made quite a few cross stitch that happen to be on your Instagram. So,
oh yeah. If you want to see a big project, next time I'm in town, I'll show you one of the ones I have in the pipes.
Oh god, is it the wolf one? Because that thing looks so intense.
That thing's not even big. It's just a pain in my butt.
No, it's not that it's like not big. It's just there's so much detail on it that it's like counting the stitches would drive me fucking crazy. Like it was bad enough coloring in Pikachu's stomach. I'm just be like, okay, and I had to redo like the entire right side of his body like twice because I kept fucking up my stitches. I was like, God damn it! But it's okay.
See, I realized that I've miscounted, and I go, well, that's how it is now, and I just adjust everything on the
I should have done that, but I wanted to add the grass on the side, so I opted to just
that's fair.
keep doing it. I just wanted it to look cute. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it was good. I'm really proud of you.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. That means so much. but yeah, other than that, like that's about it. I've been working on my website a lot more too, so I like where it's going.
Cool.
I made an FAQ or a FAQ, as I like to call it,
a FAQ,
which I don't call it. What the FAQ is your problem?
All right, y'all.
That'll be called the section of it.
What the fuck is wrong
with
you?
What the fuck is wrong with you? All right,
God,
thanks so much
good.
for...
right.
Another thing I was watching, I'll tell you this later, but you should check out Derry Girls on Netflix. It's fucking hilarious. It's like Letterkenny, but with Irish people in the early 90s. I'll send you a link. You'll like it. Okay.
All right, we'll talk at you next time.
Thanks so much for listening, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, thanks again so much for listening. Our intro music is Don't Hold My Breath by Ben Briggs. The outro is Wet Dreams by Phonetic Hero. Both were found on ocremix.org. If you like the show, please subscribe, rate, and review us, or tell a friend to check us out. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. Find the show website via notjoannaeggs.tumblr.com. Follow us on Twitter via @lobster_writer and @TCTroush. Not Joanna Eggs, because animation is for everybody.
Shut